All right, welcome to the weekly meeting. Today is November 15th. Um, so I think we said UJ and GU were on the list. UJ. Oh, this is not on the list, but okay, let's do UJ first. UJ. All righty. So let's see what the weekly is giving us. Weekly was a bullish week. Um, and I just want to mark up below. Let's go to the daily. So this is our current swing that we're in. And let me go back to the weekly. And it's looking like price is at least buying up to possibly the supply zone. All right. So with that being said, this is our current swing high. This is our swing low. And this would be our demand zone since price is bullish. Literally. Okay, so with that being said, we're in this current bearish structure. It pushed back up to this supply zone. So um, but the way this impulse move has happened, I don't know if it's gonna sell or give us a level of structure to keep buying up possibly. Um, If you trade imbalances, there's an imbalance here that price can buy into, or um, since we had this break of structure, price could be pulling back into this supply zone. So if I narrow that down, I would be looking for price to pull back into this zone. So I probably wouldn't trade this until price either breaks this high. One, there is a strong level of resistance I can see um, right here. So there's a strong level of resistance right here. So um, I would definitely be careful or either wait for price to break this high or wait for price to come into this supply zone. Look for a market structure shift to then sell down to this zone. Um, yeah, that would be what I would look for. Or, it's always an or wait for price to pull back up into this zone, make some kind of shift, and then sell it. I mean, we are in this little, like I said, we're in this bearish structure here, but this is currently our swing high. This is currently our swing low, so anything can happen in between. All right, that was GJ. Let's go to GU. Let's look at the weekly. Let's look at the bigger picture. We're in this higher time frame structure. So I would definitely be looking for price to pull back to this supply zone. And now we're currently in this bearish structure, and it's looking like we're getting a pullback within that structure. So let's now take it down to the daily. So we had this first market structure shift here, and price pulled back to the supply zone. Okay. And now we have this next break of structure. So of course, I would be looking for price to pull back to the supply zone before the next big sell. However, we need to look for, if you're trying to buy it up, um, I would need to see some form of structure before buying it up. So price has pushed down, has pulled back. Now it could push back into this zone here, give us some structure, and then, and I say that because I've been looking at this for ever. So I would be looking for it to pull back to this demand zone to then start pushing back up into a premium zone or back up to this zone. Because within this structure here, we're in this bearish structure here. So before it comes back to this zone, it would have to break this high for me. So I I see price probably pulling back maybe to this supply zone and then selling back down to the zone. And then once I see a shift, then I would buy it back up to this zone. And then look to sell it one more time. Unless it breaks this high, because we're in this structure, I would look for it to pull back to this zone for a continuation of a sell. All right, Tay. Oh, let me see. Hold on. Let me see what it's doing now. All right. Go back to the daily. We're in this. So I would be looking for price to pull back here for a sell. All right, now let's go down to the daily. Based on the daily, we're in this, we have this break of structure here. And then we have this swing low here. All right. Price has pulled back to the demand zone. So I would be expecting price to continue buying up. Um, this is GU. Let's go to the 15-minute. There is a little demand zone down here that it could come back to before buying up. And then there's liquidity here. So, with that being said, price could be selling. Price tap this supply zone, sold down to this demand zone, but now it's just in between. It's really consolidating right now. Um, with this consolidation right here, I would be expecting it to come grab liquidity. So I would be looking for the sell, just because this is my demand zone for the buy. Since we're still bullish, um, let me see something. So from here to here, let me use my fib real quick. This did pull back to the 78, but it hasn't broken any highs yet. So I would definitely wait to see what the market is going to give. Is it going to pull back to this demand zone and then buy? That's possible. So, yep, I would wait for it to show what it wants to do. If it breaks this internal high right here, no, that's not the internal high right there. This was the last internal structure. Yeah, I would wait for it because that's a mess right here. That one's a mess. All right. Anything else? Let me see. Anyone want to see anything else? GU. Or did I miss one? Hold on. UJ and GU were the only two. Okay. Um, I said I was going to go over some of the ones that each dropped this week. Let's see. CAD Chef. CAD Chef on the weekly. Looking at structure is bearish. This is the current high of this move to the downside. And she said bearish. Yep. So let's look at the daily. This is our swing high right here. And this is our swing low. Prices in the middle, in the middle. It did pull back to the supply zone and sold down. So um, it would either have to sweep this low and then start buying for a possible break of this high. Or if price closes below this low, then the next supply zone for another sell would be here. So based on the 4 hour, there has been a shift in structure. There has been a shift in structure. Let's go to the 1 hour. Let's mark up the 1 hour demand zone. So I would be looking for price to um, put it below this low. It's like a 20 pip stop loss. And buy it up to, there's that 1 hour supply zone here. So that's about 100 pips. So for CAD Chef, I would be looking for price to pull back and then buy up to, that's about 25 pips. Let me see if I can narrow that zone down. Yeah, that's fine. Um, that would be like 25 pips. I would be looking for price to pull into this zone to buy up. So, CAD Chef is definitely one I would probably look to add to the weekly watch list. All right. Um, Next she has Chef JPY. Let's look at the weekly. If I look at the bigger picture, it is bullish, bullish. Based on the weekly, this was a high. This was our break of structure here. So this was our swing low. And of course, that's a swing high. So if I go to the daily, we had this day, we had this daily move here. Let's see if any structure shift. There it has been a structure shift. Had this little market structure shift here on the 4 hour. So let's go down in time frame to look for our supply zone. Take that off. So I would be looking for price to pull back into this zone here to look for a sell. That's a 37, so take it to 40. Pip stop loss. And depending on your trading tolerance, you can take it. You have a TP here to any of these lows. So the first one is 113 pips. Next zone is 157 pips. So this is what I would be looking for next week for Chef JPY. And I think all the JPYs are pulling back. So any questions? And let me add this one to the weekly analysis. All right. Euro Chef. Euro Chef, the one I lost a trade on. I think this was it. Oh yeah. I lost $100 on that. Okay. So Euro Chef um is bearish. This is the last swing low. Price broke through. So now let's go to the daily. All right. I think it's about to start buying. Okay, so on the daily, we got a looks like a daily sweep. Price closed above this zone. Did not close below this low. Now let's go to the 4 hour. Based on the 4 hour, if price breaks above this high, meaning closed candle, otherwise price could start selling back down, but I would look for a close above this high. Once you get a close above this high, then I would mark up the demand zone. Where's my little thingamajiggy? Oh. I would mark up my demand zone, but I would need to see the close above first. Narrow this down once the price closes above 15 minute. So I would look for price to pull back to this zone. Once price closes above on the 4 hour, I need to see it on the 4 hour at least. Um, that's 11 pips stop loss. Of course, I'm going to take it to 20. Oh, that's a lot, maybe 15. And then take it up to, go down to, back up to the 1 hour. At least back up to this current bearish structure. So it's like 135 pips. Or if you're feeling froggy, the real bearish structure is up here. Because price broke on the 4 hour price closed below here. But you can target these highs. This would be 1 TP, another TP, 135 pips, 180 pips, 200 pips, 262 pips. So wait for closure above this zone, this last structure, and then mark up the demand zone. Any questions? All right. Oh, let me add this to my watch list. Euro JPY. It's a JPY, so we're probably still looking for sells. Let's go to the weekly. Based on this weekly chart. So we did break this high. We pulled back to this demand and started buying. So we have this external breakup structure, just external swing right here. However, for the week, price closed above this high. Had this breakup structure here. So let's go down to the daily. And then on the daily, we had this sweep of the high. Now let's see if we have a shift in structure. Okay. So now we have this market structure shift here. And then we have this current supply zone. So I would be looking for price to pull back into this zone to then start selling. So if I narrowed that down, actually, and I see a supply zone up here. So price could pull back to this zone before it starts selling. Of course, this would be a more optimal trading entry, but both zones are in the premium zone. We fibbed a move. It's probably already around the 78. This is around the 78.88. So I would definitely expect price to pull back to this zone for a sell. Two. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. 2. So you would want to wait, you would want to set an alert, wait for price to shift structure from either one of these zones before getting in a sell back down to this low. So if I fibbed, even depending on which one it goes to, we're talking 92 pips from the top. Oh, that's a good stop loss. Let's see, 15 pips. So I would be looking to sell either back down to here or to the negative 27, which is 120 pips for the sell. It's got a lot of. That's you, Euro JPY, GBP Chef, GBP Chef on the weekly. Look at the full picture. We can see that price. This is the first break. So we're currently in this bearish structure. Okay. And within that bearish structure, we're in this internal, because we had this break of structure here. So this is our current internal swing high. All right. So now let's go down to the daily. We have this last internal structure here, or we're in this bearish structure. So I would be looking for price to come into this supply zone to either continue selling or for price to break this high, look for the demand zone, and then to buy it up to this internal swing high. But as of right now, we're still in bearish structure, so you should be looking for sells. And to buy it back up to this zone, see how many pips are we from it now. Okay, so it's worth the look. We currently have this swing high here, this internal high here. So for me, if price broke this high, I would mark up my demand zone for price to pull back into, to then buy it up to this zone. And if that happens, we're talking about 200 pips for GBP Chef. All right, any questions? GJ, weekly is, it was a bullish week. However, it's looking like it only broke or closed above the previous week's high. Um, let's go down time frame. So this is our current swing low. This is our current swing low. This is our current break of structure. So that makes this our current swing high. Boop. All right. So we had a break of structure here. And now price is currently in our break of structures supply zone. Okay. So now let's go down in time frame. This is our current structure of that supply zone. So we are waiting to see. Look like price is going to start, has been consolidating here. It went bullish to bearish to bullish to, so it's consolidating. So I am looking for price to continue selling because I'm already in from this current 15-minute zone here. That's the 1 hour, but that's where I'm in. I'm in there already. So I am looking for price to continue selling to the downside. It did not take out my low, but because of the structure that we're currently in, this bearish structure, I'm looking for price to sell from here. All right. Any questions? Okay. Um, USD chef. USD chef. Look at the bigger picture. The bigger picture is telling me that this is my swing low. This is my swing high. And so let's look at the current structure. The last structure on the weekly is this breakup structure here. This swing high, this internal swing high here. And then this is a swing low. Okay. So let's go down to the daily. And based on that structure, this was the last structure internal here. So right now, price is really meandering in between this internal daily swing high and swing low. And because this closed below here, I'm going to move my swing low, my swing high right here. Because this was the swing low, price closed below that. So now this makes my swing high. And so this is the meander. So I would need to see price um, close below this low or above this high first. So if I even go to the 4 hour, this was the break price. So if this was the break, you mark up your last, your highest. Um, so price did not go into the zone. So now I just have to wait and see what price is going to do. Uh, so you chef, what did she say? You chef was bearish. Now I will say on the 4 hour, you have the shift in structure. Oops. You have this shift in structure. It pulled into this demand zone here and then gave a shift in structure. So I think this one is the same as the G-Chef. So if I have your market structure shift here, so I'm looking for my demand zone. This is the 1 hour demand zone here. That's the zone. That's the zone. Okay. And then if I take it down to the 15-minute, same thing as the other one. I would mark up this demand zone, look for price to pull back into this zone. You have to cover your swing high, which is 23 pips. So let's round it to 25. And then look to buy it up to, um, buy it back up to this swing high or this. You can either take it up to that supply zone or to the swing high. So that's you, chef. Or if you just want to take it up to this high to be on the safe side, then just take it up to this high. Because this is the bullish structure. It pulled back to this demand. So you can take it up to this high. That's 228 pips. All righty. I'm going to add this onto the weekly analysis. And then we have gold and silver. So gold. Well, silver first. Let's see. Weekly. Let's see what the bigger picture looks like. Of course, it's bullish. We have this higher time frame break of structure. You know what happens once you get some breaks of structure, price starts to pull back. You got a break, it pulled back. Um, so we had a daily shift in structure, which happened right here. This was the market structure shift. Price pulled back into the supply zone. And now we're looking for sales. So let's go down to the 4 hour. We had this shift here, price pulled back into the zone. Now we have this break of structure here. Right. So let's mark up our next supply zone. And let's walk it down. So the next supply zone we have here. We have a zone here, and then we have this zone here. Of course, I would be looking for it to pull back to this zone to then start selling. So these would be the next zones to look for a sell. So depending on which zone it pulls back into, I'm just going to go with the highest one. Then I would be looking to sell it at least to this low. And that's a lot of pips. But because higher time frame told us that price is in because higher time frame is telling us that price is, we had this break of structure here, that price could be selling back down to this zone, or let me go to the daily. Price could be pulling back down to at least this low or somewhere in this demand zone. Or it hasn't broken this high yet. So my guess is price is going to keep selling. And if I fib this move from here to here, I would at least want to see it, like I said, back down to this low or to the negative 27, which is another demand zone. And gold is definitely due for a nice little pullback. Gold and silver, I'm sorry. But it would be nice if it could come, you know, all the way back here, somewhere back here, to then start buying again. Um, that would be crazy. Gold, the same thing. Um, let's clear the chart. We know that it's bullish. That's on the monthly. This is on the daily. We have a nice little demand zone here. Actually, I would mark up this one right here. This was the last down before price started going up. So we have a nice little demand zone here. We have this break of structure here. So it would be nice to see price pull back to somewhere here and then start buying, but this is gold. So we have to trade what we see. And what I see on the daily is that price gave this market structure shift here. And so we have this current supply zone here. And now if I go down in time frame, price tapped into the zone, it shifted structure. It shifted structure here. It pulled back into this little supply zone, um, and then sold off. So now that we have this next break of structure here, um, of course, I would be wanting it to pull back, and I'm marking that up because I know there's a, there, yeah, into this. I would love to see price pull back into the zone to then start selling off some more. Now, this is gold, so it probably, if you trade imbalances, it tapped into a 1 hour imbalance, but I don't see structure yet. So this could sell some more, either sell or break above this 15-minute structure. So if it closes above this 15-minute structure, now we have this bullish structure. So I would look for a pullback to then buy back up into this zone before um before price starts selling again. So that's what I see for gold. Otherwise, it has already pulled back into a little supply zone. So it could keep selling. So if I were waiting for anything, I would wait for it to either break this low or break this high, this internal high right here. Otherwise, it's consolidating. All right, I think that was it. Any questions? Anything anybody want to look at before we?
Yes. Hi, Kim.
All right,
Can we look at US 30, please? And I
you
can share my thoughts and you can let me know.
30.
So, I'm currently in a buy. I saw that I had the first bullish move, but I got wicked out. I guess I entered too soon. So I re-entered, price pulled back to the daily 78%. And then on the 4 hour, it tapped into the demand zone. So that's where I'm in at.
You're in a buy.
I am.
Okay, let me see something. So we had a break of structure here. Let's go down to the daily. And then we had this break and then this pullback and then this break. Okay, so once that broke, it looked like it's pulled
So
back.
yeah, so that wick right there where the current candle is on the daily, that's the 78% of that
Mhm.
previous green candle to the swing high.
Yeah.
And then on the 4 hour, it's a demand zone. So that's where I got in at.
Yep. So, yep, so that would be the zone there.
Hmm.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Let me go to the 1 hour.
So the 1 hour, I'm like, uh-oh, there's a supply zone right here.
The demand here and price is in this bearish structure.
Hmm.
So it could, and you see this little supply zone.
That's what I was, yeah, that's where I'm hesitant at. I'm still holding though, but
So it could sell down a little more. Let me see what's on the 15. Mm, so this would be my 15-minute demand zone. So go back to the 1 hour. And then it gave a 1 hour bearish, this bearish order block. I think it's
mhm.
going to sell down some more.
Okay. I
Um,
think the confidence was because it wicked so hard at the 78% on the daily. That's kind of what in
hmm
my mind was like, okay, because I was going back and forth. Like, do I exit the so yeah, just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think it's going to come down a little more unless it starts to, yeah, I think it's going to sell some more.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, Now I will say this. If price breaks this high, so price would either have to break this high and then you have structure. Then you'll have structure to pull back and then start buying and finish buying up um to this.
Hmm.
So I would definitely, like you say, you can hold it.
Yeah, I moved my stop loss into profit. Um, but yeah.
Hmm
See tweezer bottoms right there. It's in it took liquidity, it tapped into an imbalance before your demands are on the 15. Like there's just so many different confluences that I just don't know which ones to.
Yeah, I would definitely look for it to at least break this high.
Mm-hmm.
If this is the 78
Mm-hmm.
um and this is actually the whole when I look at demand, this whole because these two red candles, these are two last
Mm-hmm.
down candles before this up move. So
Mm-hmm.
um but it's still, once it taps, I need to see a shift, a market structure shift,
Mm,
um, before I feel good about the trade. So
got you.
I don't see the shift yet, but like I said, if this does not close these lows below these lows and gives us some form of structure, meaning breaking this high,
Mm-hmm.
then I would look for the pullback to then continue buying up to here. Then that 78 would make sense to me.
Got it. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Welcome. Who is that?
Shaynal Pipson did in Discord.
So yeah.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome. See now why would you make me look at US 30? I've been staying away.
Because you want in.
Okay. I want in. I want in.
Because then also, like the daily, there was like a bearish order block. So then I'm like, okay, worst case scenario, I can buy it to the golden zone, but it also didn't break structure when it sold. So like I just keep going back and forth. So like
Mhm.
that push down still didn't break the low. So it's like still bearish to me.
It
I
is.
mean bullish. I'm sorry. It's still bullish to me
Oh
because
yeah,
it didn't
it
break
didn't
the low. Yeah.
sell. Correct. Yep. But I do see because we had a this was bearish, this was bearish. I don't trade fair value gaps, but there is a gap.
Hmm.
So price could buy back into here and then
Right. The very least, right? So
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah.
And then if I look at the, let's see what the Dixie is doing. I don't know. The Dixie is probably just all over the place right now. Um, okay. So if I look at this current structure on this weekly, we had this break of structure here, which makes this our swing high. And it looked like the dollar is likely pushing up a little bit, but it just may be pushing up to sell.
Yeah.
Little zone. Maybe it's pushing up in here to sell because the higher time frame, this is our swing low. This is our break of structure, higher time frame. So price could be pulling back to the 78. I mean, it pulled back to the 618, but it would have to break this high. That's a long way to go before I say it's before I say it's buying. Um, but it could be buying to a supply zone to then sell again. Um, but right now, this is the current internal structure. So it could be coming here to sell to the 78 or the 88 because there's some zones here,
Hmm.
which means if this is pushing up, US 30 is pushing down. So
Oh, I was gonna say I haven't looked at the correlation. Okay.
right now we're still in this bear bullish structure. So price could be pulling back to push back into the zone. And then once the shift happens, then it could start selling.
Mm,
And then once it starts selling, that means the US 30 will start buying.
got it. Okay.
Hmm.
Well, let me know if you see something.
Sure will.
Send me a smoke signal.
Now that my eyes are locked. Now that it is locked. Hmm. Yep, definitely.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Anybody want to see anything else? Going
Thank you,
one.
Kim.
Guys, all right. See you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.